The protest was held today at Jambanjeli Road. A landlord accused of racism after refusing to rent a room to a Gambian. A landlord refused to rent a room to a Gambian student after saying it was only for Europeans because Africans cooking makes a house smell. Ibrahim Mbub messaged Eliano Verbson on Facebook to arrange to view a double room in central London. Ms. Webson was initially enthusiastic but then changed her mind after realizing where he was from, according to a screen grabs of the exchange. The 24-year-old performing arts student told the Sun Online, "I was completely shocked at the landlord's response, and I was completely shocked at the landlord response, and I am today." And the food safety petition DG for nepotism and corruption. Some 32 staff of the Food Safety and Quality Authority yesterday called a press conference to read out a long list of accusations against the Director General Zainab Jallow. The allegations include nepotism, abuse of office, and corruption. Alaji Sow, a food inspector, said, and I quote, "Our reason of calling this press conference is to get our voice loud and clear about issues we have petitioned the Director General." And the Interior Minister urges 3 years judgment to respect IGP's directive. You may remember yesterday the Inspector General of Police issued a statement calling on Operation 3 years judgment to comply with Inspector General of Police decision to deny them permit. The Standard is also reporting that the Cuban ambassador visits the Standard newspaper. And on the Point newspaper, the Point is also reporting that APRC to stage a protest with or without a permit. The Point is also reporting that the Interior Minister defends IGP permit denial to 3 years judgment. And they're also reporting that ICJ set to deliver a decision on Gambia request. The United Nations Top Court will deliver its decision on the 23rd of January 2020 on whether there is urgently needed measures to impose on Myanmar over alleged genocide against its Rohingya Muslims, the Gambia government tweeted on Wednesday. That's all we have for you on the papers. I will now look at the story. Today, thousands of APRC supporters have called on Barrow government and international bodies that negotiated the going into exile of the former President Yahya Jammeh to implement a deal that ensured Jammeh's departure to Equatorial Guinea. Following the political impasse, Thursday protest was held from Sukuta traffic light to Jabba Road. More in this report.
The protest attracted thousands of APRC supporters from all corners of the country.
Still, the crowd is still walking here. That's a stoppage. That's the man, Fabakary Tombong Jatta, the interim party leader of APRC. He's been sandwiched by his party supporters who are in their green and white attires, the party color of the APRC. That's the green.
Sirimbalo from URR. Sera Dima.
Muna nena na jambi lan mo tanga ñew fi tay.
Dama ñew fi pour won su mbokk yi ne APRC for life. We need our President Jammeh to be back.
Well, what do you say to these allegations leveled against him that he was involved in killing, in torture, in rape?
My brother, lolu yeb lu ñu wax nonu. Lolu yeb wax la ay waxet ay naxaté la rek pour mëna damé parti bi lolu lañ nekk di waxé non. Waye lolu nekku true.
Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin mbe ala tantula mbe kila jayila mbe banko tantula ma jayila atul fannin kelu lefta la kayro soto andu lefta la nganya banko ko kalu lu banko lum janti o to mba fala alhamdulillah rabbil alamin dunya be saje ko min kata wo man ka ko mati min ko soto ro katu mo nyabo ta bol kanjambi yalo ko hada badu be ya jamme ko bal adu mo be manna mbal tantula mbal jayila ala
babake
funa kapati APRC benga weyanu bengunya kontan wol du kontan mama ke APRC ko kontan funa kapati jaatu wol du mamang man ani fana legul ma aroke esukay or sola mana legu ma aroke esukay parce que esukay tayonya esukay de salte esukay salta udede tout mané menga tep mo kami woldu mamang man babli masa alegul algo aroke esukay mana angari esukay ola mo podo ke esukay panangol ne yow fekul esukay tan tambenya esukay tambaut reglaut woldu mor mangumi mana gol man esukay ngol ne tembe parce que wasanta tout wodede kala kan mangu mo ne kajakuta ku tu ko kudede kabiri nana pumi dede no kala kajakuta ku nokelo mi dede e buju bukam bare mo kammi woldu mam babil ma ta allegul mala gola ngare gonkute mana rokoli mo fam yo wala fam no sola baraka yamuna sere mem pola antalo bi fa kontano lefta babil man say murunna nani lefta murunna kayro soto banko kan kayrata gambia katu gambia e man gambia man sakolo mutafenti horama ni mbuñati je respect ko tije nyokano banta furu mo ko nendiro mano buka sanno school buka jono damaro man soto jata kende man soto fentam fo malla fi nyola ya Jammeh lefta babil man say murunna ay murunna si abarka ba.
The leaders of 4 days protest insist it was time Jammeh returned to the country.
Thank you very much, Omar Wale. I'm very happy and I'm very proud of my committed and sincere militants, APRC, the mighty APRC, and in the interest of the country to prosper, APRC is out. For Babili Mansa must come back to this country. And this shows people are so committed with APRC because of Yaya Abdul Aziz, James Yunkun Jammeh, and Babili Mansa Nasiruddin. Because of his commitment, sincere, honest, dedicated to the development of this country. That's why a lot of people, just yesterday, by 6 o'clock, we have our permit. Just look at the crowd. If we happen to have our permit 2 days back, you will see a crowd from here to Brussels. But thanks God, with the commitment of our militants, they are out to demonstrate. Enough is enough. Babil must come back. This is a signal to the government of the Gambia, and a signal to AU, and a signal to UN, and a signal to ECOWAS, to tell them that we are out. Let them respect the MOU and let them know that Babili must come back. MOU need to be respected.
It's a historical day. Since we went into Congress, a resolution was passed by the delegates. Part of it is for us to make a follow-up on this joint declaration. So today is the day that we're showing all the militants the work we've been doing by engaging government and other stakeholders. And today is the day that we're taking these letters as a reminder for them to definitely implement the joint declaration that saw the exit door to the former president of this great nation.
Riot police were on hand to ensure the protest remained peaceful. The protest started at Sukuta traffic lights as the protesters marched to Brusubi Table and then to the African Union offices in Bijilo, where party chiefs submitted a petition to the body.
Onward transmission to the chairperson of the African Union Commission. Remember, this is the Center for Human Rights and Democracy. So they are an independent body, but they were able, through the authority of the AU, to receive it for onward transmission.
You will go. ECOWAS also is involved. Are you intending to go to ECOWAS?
Yeah, we are going to now. That's the mission we are now. We are going to ECOWAS. We are going to the UN. We just have time constraint. So what we are going to do, as we did here, we are going to get a transport. People are going to ECOWAS, deliver the letter. We wrote to them, and then they are going to the UN to deliver the letter.
Similar message.
It's the same message, in fact.
How soon would you like the implementation of this agreement?
I mean, I think for us it is long overdue. If you look at the content of the agreement, It is at the wish of former President Jammeh to come back after, I don't know, a period of 3 months.
Or at the time he wished.
Yeah. So for us, you know, we as we used to tell the press and everybody, we are a different opposition. We don't believe in violence, neither do we believe in force. We respect people's beliefs, respect them. We can disagree with them. We expect also people to disagree with us, but respect our views as citizens of this country. It is true that those type of tolerance that we can build a unified, peaceful country. That's why.
What is the next step?
The next step will be determined by us as and when we go. If you remember, since he left here, we had been on engagement and dialogue with UN systems. We met Ibn Kembas, we met the UN West African coordinator, and we are saying the same things. We wrote letters to them. Now, for 3 months, we have not heard anything. We now felt that we should come out on a peaceful demonstration to deliver, this time to demand for the full implementation of the joint declaration.
There were issues that concern maybe you might not be permitted by the authorities to do this. The permit eventually came. What's your reaction to that? What changed?
What changed why we had the permit? Yes. I think they have been convinced. First of all, you must realize that there were unnecessary internal and external forces on them, pressures on government to deny us a permit as if we are half citizens of this country. Now, thank God, we will want to appreciate and acknowledge and thank the President, the Honorable Minister of Interior and the Inspector General of Police for at least granting us the permit as late as it may be. But this, we want to also make it abundantly clear. For one institution like the European Union, they must desist from the internal affairs of this country. We are a sovereign, independent country. Their dollars or dollaries will not make us to be enslaved again in our lifetime.
Are you implying they're interfering?
They are interfering, not implying.
What evidence do you have?
We have evidences because when we made our rally at Abuko, he made a comment as to what we say.
He who?
He, the resident representative of the EU.
Lapo, I don't know.
Lions.
You know?
Last Lions?
Yes,
yeah, whoever he is. What we are saying is, let them have their interest. We want to make something clear, especially to government. You see, Gambia can only be built by Gambians through a peaceful, honest way. We need assistance, not assistance that will enslave us, that will make us put away our values, that will make us put away the interests of our people, and that will make us mortgage our independence and sovereignty and dignity. Now, this is fundamental. So what we are saying is, come into the Gambia, help, work with the people, but get away. Who else will go to Europe and tell them what to do? Who else? Whatever you have, keep it. We don't need you. This is an internal affair. We will be able to do our own things our own way, and we'll be able to reconcile and move this country forward. We don't need external aggressors. We also have internal pressure groups. People like Kijera, people like Madi Jobate. They are saying that we should not be given a permit. APRC must not be given a permit. Let's make it clear. They don't believe in APRC. They see us as vicious. Fine, we disagree with them. We respect them for their opinion. Let them respect our opinion that we believe in APRC and what we do. They can disagree with us. Otherwise, if they think they can use powers to put us down, oh, you make a mistake.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thursday's protest comes amid the police's last-minute
For the first time in the Gambia, your favorite GSM operator, APRC, is the first and only GSM operator to launch a brand new technology called the eSIM. The eSIM simply means you can use your phone without a SIM card. Do you have an iPhone 11, any of the iPhone X series, a Google Pixel 3, or any new phone that supports the e-technology? Visit any APRC customer care center. Activate your eSIM today. With your virtual APRC SIM, you can use more than one number without having a physical SIM card in your phone. Enjoy this brand new technology for the first time in the Gambia, brought to you by APRC. eSIM, your phone without a SIM card. For more information, please call 111. Where APRC goes, nobody dares to follow. For the first...
Welcome back after that short commercial break with a reaction from the interim leader of the APRC, Fabakary Tombouanjata, calling on the international community to stop meddling in Gambia's political affairs. With me now is Fatu Kamara. As you may be aware, the Fatu Network yesterday announced its 2019 Gambian Hero Award event. The Fatu Network will organize the event this year to honor Gambians. But she is with me here, and I will. You can tell me. I know you. Do I need to introduce you?
I don't know.
Okay, Fatu Kamara.
Yes.
Fatu Network.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Omar. I just want to say that, yes, the Fatu Network is coming up with this initiative to organize an awards event. We know that a lot of Gambians have done a lot for country. They have played a huge role for the country, and these are Gambians who are based here. And for those who are also based out of the country, I know there's been award ceremonies that have been organized in the Gambia, and the Fatu Network thinks that this time around, we want to step in after being in the media for a long time, since 1994. We decided now that, like most of the major newspapers, we can also do this. And Fatu Network in the Gambia, we are the biggest online news site, so I think we have every right to be able to do this. This is a news site that's been covering a lot of stories about Gambians, so we know who is who. We know the creme de la creme of Gambia. We also know those who are doing a whole lot at community level, so we want to honor these people and say thank you very much. The Gambian people appreciate what you do.
When you say we want to honor these people, how do you want to do this event? Is it Fatu Network going to pick few people and say, you did this and that, and we will award you for this? Or what is the formality?
Well, this is as a Gambian program. It is going back to the Gambians. We want to give Gambians this opportunity for them to choose who they want to award. We actually have set up an awards committee which comprises of people whose bio tomorrow we will bring out after our meeting with them. We actually know them already, but we have a meeting tomorrow after which we would tell people who they are. So these are the Gambians who will be in the awards committee, and this will be completely independent of me, you, Lamin, and everybody else at Fatu Network. We would call them in here and tell them this is what we want to do. We will work on the criteria and also nominate people who we think fit those criteria. And when we have that, we will open it to Gambians. They can vote in for who they think should win the Man of the Year or the Woman of the Year. And also Gambians on social media, Gambians who are also not on social media, these people will all have a say in this. So the Fatu Network is initiating this, but it is an award that the Gambians will have to decide who they want to be the Man of the Year and who they want to be the Woman of the Year, the Philanthropist of the Year, and so on and so forth.
So when is this event going to take place?
We're planning this event for the 14th of March. We actually wanted it in February, but you know, it's really close, as you can see, and this requires a lot of work because we want to do one event that would be like one of its kind in the whole country. So we're now planning to have this on the 14th of March, inshallah.
Is it going to be for only this year, or is it going to be a continuous event?
Well, the plan is to have this every year, and we're going to register it to make sure that Omar Wali does not steal the name. So hopefully when we are done, we would do that. We'll register this brand and have it with us so that every year we would come up and organize events like this every year, inshallah.
So tell me do you have any high profile people, and where are they coming from?
Yes, we actually spoke to the First Lady who is in the Gambia, as she's the First Lady of Gambia. So if you want to do anything, it has to start with her. That was why I did not take out the press statement until after we spoke to her. We have also invited Fatima Jabi. She's a Gambian, but when you're talking about Gambia, it's Fatu Babaro first, the First Lady. So we've spoken to her and also spoken to Fatmata Jabi Bio. She's also expected to be here for the event. We've also invited people in Senegal from one of the dignitaries, and we've also informed the Senegalese First Lady. I know it's very difficult for her to travel around. She usually don't travel out a lot, but she knows about the event. I've discussed with her, and hopefully if she would not be able to make it, I'm sure a delegation will be attending on her behalf.
So how many people do you think we're going to be, Fatu Network will be awarded? Let me not say we.
We don't want to, yes, okay, because it's going to be independent, right, a group. We actually don't want to make this a whole group. The group would decide, but it left to me alone, I don't think we should award more than 6 people. But again, the committee has a say in that. They will be the ones who will have that make that final decision. So we would get to know about that tomorrow after our meeting with them.
Is there going to be food?
Yes, there'll be food, but actually we're trying to have not too many people. It's going to be a corporate event at which I'm hoping to have about 1,000 people. Only 1,000 people. That's the plan of a table gala, of course, kind of. There'll be food and there'll also be entertainment. We're trying to get in artists to come. We would have, of course, artists from here. Charity begins at home. Everything we're doing, we're putting Gambia first, even though we're having people who are going to be coming from outside the Gambia. So we'll have Gambian musicians first, and then we're going to have international. We're looking at Senegal, of course, because they are our neighbors, and so we will have them, and we'll also have Gambia. But of course, we will have food. We will serve food, but you will have to buy a table for you to eat.
When you say you, who are you talking? Me.
Yes, because you were the one asking about food. So I'm saying if you need to eat, you will have to buy a table. So we'll be selling tables to cooperate. So right now we are in the process of putting down the names of institutions, of organizations, of parastatals that we would be approaching. We'll be coming to you. It is the beginning of the year. I hope you would not tell us our budget is exhausted. No budget is exhausted as of now. This is a Gambian event, and we want you all to support this event. And Omar, those who will partner with us, for instance, those who will be called the sponsors, these are people who will be with us in all through the event, all our publicity, they'll be there. We would have media coverage from here, from Senegal. I'm also hoping from Sierra Leone, and also we'll try to see what we can have from the international media. So if you decide to sponsor this program, you'll have a lot of visibility. So that's important for them to know. I don't want you to see this event as Fatu Kamara or Omar Wali. Fatu Network is bigger than all of us. This is Fatu Network. It is Gambian, and the event is yours. It's a Gambian event. I want everybody to participate in it, please.
Thank you so much for your time. Yeah. Well, we will continue with the story on the APRC. As you all know, today they held a procession calling on the former president, Jammeh, to return to the country. They issued a statement, and they presented a petition to the African Union to honor the agreement they had with the former president. I am now on the line from United States is MB Krubali, a concerned Gambians. We'll be discussing about this. Mr. Krubali, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Okay, I think I have MB Krubali now on the line. Hello, Mr. Krubali.
Mr. Wali, how are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Good, good. Thank you so much.
Good. As you know, thank you so much for your time. What do you make of this event today, APRC procession calling on Jammeh's return?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, and to all your listeners, hello. I think what is happening in the nation, in the country right now, Gambians had to really rethink of what's happening. Because 3 years ago, when we got rid of the dictatorship, and after that we found out exactly what was happening for 22 years. And ever since this Barrow regime came into power, they have sold this whole reconciliation business to us to the point where today we have seen the voice of the APRC calling for Jammeh's return, whilst the victims are still suffering out there, is something that we should be very, very, very concerned about, because the crowds that we're seeing that APRC is pulling, if anybody thinks that they're not strong and powerful in that country, you're deceiving yourself. And to see that the person who has intimidated, killed, raped our people for 22 years is still got this support, whilst the government and Barrow are busy politicking, is something that we should rethink and really consider about the direction that we're heading.
But is this not also part of democracy? Because they will tell you it exists because not everybody agree on the same thing at the same time. And democracy also is expensive. Although there is TRRC and there was already a Jammeh commission, but they also have a right to protest or riot or demonstrate, anyhow you put, or procession to demand an agreement Jammeh had with the international peace brokers.
Omar, nobody is questioning that this is part of democracy. What we're questioning here is that for somebody who the entire world have agreed that is a dictator, has killed, raped people, and we have open evidence that this person has done that. And to this date, other than the TRRC and even that, the people that have committed those crimes have been released back into our society, which is giving the APRC power to call for the return of Yahya Jammeh is what is concerning. APRC can rally all they want to. They can rally for political power in that country, but to rally for the return of Yahya Jammeh whilst we have the people that were killing for Yahya within our midst is what is concerning in the country right now. And we're seeing that they're building force and momentum to the point where now we see even the president playing into their game. And sooner or later, they're going to succeed. And we're going to sit here until we see the return of a dictatorship in this country.
Do you think Jammeh will be able to come back to the Gambia?
I really hope not. I really hope that the ECOWAS, the United Nations, and the rest of the civilized world out there will caution Barrow to understand what is at risk when Jammeh comes back into that country, because there's a serious revenge that is going to start happening. People are going to forget the TRRC. Already the TRRC, a lot of people are concerned in the simple fact that the people that have openly agreed of committing these crimes are out in, within our midst and walking freely, whilst the victims continue to suffer. I really hope that common sense will prevail and Jammeh will not be allowed in that country.
What do you think is the way forward in terms of all these things happening in the country, from one protest to another?
I think we have a serious lack of leadership in that country. The way forward is for the Barrow government to stop the politicking that is happening, to stop matching this 3 years judge now when they demonstrate, these people come out. The country has turned out to be a demonstration. Within the last month, we had 5 planned demonstrations in that country. The economy is still tanking. Today, we have seen the launch of the NACOF in the country. Last year, I was in there. Part of the NACOF agreement or understanding was that they were going to try to drop unemployment within the youths to 25%. None of that has been attained so far. We're in a country where we're just living day to day. There's no plans moving forward. The Barrow government need to stop politicking and understand that this is not, child's play. This is actually people's life at stake, and they need to be serious and understand that there is over 2 million people that depend on every decision and every action that they do.
Is this problem entirely on, because you said we have a problem with leadership, but when you talk to Chinua Achebe, he said the problem with Nigeria is the leadership. It doesn't mean the president elected or the governor, but those who offer themselves for leadership. Don't you think Gambians also should take some degree of responsibility of this leadership crisis?
Omar, if you look at Rwanda, citizens went at each other and they killed each other for years. But once the right leadership came into place, their focus shifted. If anybody tells you the people are responsible, they're right. But people tend to respond to their leaders. And if we have a serious leadership in that country, you will see what happened during Sadauda's time. We had a serious leadership, somebody who has empathy and some sense of direction, and took us from independence until we came to Jammeh. Under Jammeh, his focus was killing, abuse, and dictatorship, and that is what the citizens responded to. And right now, we're seeing a state that is functioning on day-to-day with serious corruption and politicking 24/7. Leadership is very important. Leaders tend to set the tone, and the current tone in the country that Barrow set is to invite people into State House and having rallies day in and day out, and the political parties are responding to that, and the citizens in turn are responding to that. So yes, we do need serious leadership in that country, and we currently lack serious leadership. And Gambians have to understand, if we really care about our country and we really care about our lives, we have to call it, what it is. Right now, our country is not headed in the right direction. If anybody tells you so, they're fooling you. We need serious leadership in that country, and Gambians cannot be scared to change leadership. If you pick a leader who doesn't know what they're doing or the country is not going in the right direction, you change the leadership and you change directions.
Yeah, changing leadership, changing direction. You reference Rwanda, that is President Paul Kagame. And this is a man who at the age of 28, he helped to topple a government in Uganda. At the age of 36, he helped to topple a government in Rwanda. At the age of 39, he helped to topple a government in Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, how can people have a good leadership? Because this came at a time when you talk to Gambians, they will tell you, well, Danko Dorong, we just want Jammeh to get out of this place. How can Gambians have, yeah.
You know, you can look at people's history. What we know right now is where Rwanda is where every African continent, African country wants to be. And that is the focus here right now. We want to be like Rwanda, and we need to understand that that is the most important thing right now. So for whatever Paul Kagame did, right now, Omar, if you go, our education system is the worst it has ever been. Our healthcare system is the worst it has ever been. Infrastructure is the worst it has ever been. Corruption is rampant, and we have very incompetent people around our government, around our president, that we know is the main reason. Every Gambian will agree, whether they say it in the open or not, that the direction that our country is going, it's not looking good. All these buildings that you're seeing, there are buildings like, for example, if you go to Basse, there is a new school that is built at Kobakunda Primary School. Right. That school is built currently. Citizens of URR have been approached to help pay for books and help the quarters of the teachers. Now, you tell me if that is a vision that somebody has towards education. This is the problem. We have people that surround the president, advising him wrongly, and we're headed in the wrong direction. And the sooner we understand that we need to cut our losses and search for a better leadership in that country, the better for us.
Finally, what will be your final message?
My final message to Gambians is, for 3 years, we have changed leadership. Nothing has changed. The cost of living has risen. The sense of direction for the government is nothing but politicking. Barrow is focused on one thing and one thing only, and that is to be re-elected. Once he attains that, we don't know what else we have. Sometimes you need to understand that when you pick a leader and you understand that the leadership is not doing the right thing, we need to change. Gambians cannot be scared of changing this leadership, because right now the only thing that is happening in that country is politicking and protest, and that is not the direction that we're going to go. That is not the direction for development, and if we go on that route, sooner or later we're going to clash and we're going to have an uncontrolled government and country. So if that makes sense to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Krubali.
Thank you so much again, Omar. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. That's MB Krubali, the concerned Gambian in the United States. But also, I'll be talking to Lamin Tamba also, and to gauge his opinion about this whole event which took place today. And I think Lamin Tamba is on the line now. Hello, Lamin.
Hello.
Yeah, Lamin Tamba, thank you so much for your time. Lamin Tamba is APRC UK branch public relation officer, and he's also on the line now. Thank you so much for your time, Lamin.
Thank you very much, Omar. Thank you very much, the Fatu Network. I really appreciate your effort you're making in terms of informing the Gambian people, and not just Gambian people, but people around the world. We appreciate your network's services to journalism. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Omar.
Thank you so much. What is your assessment of today's procession?
Well, the assessment of today's procession, as far as Gambia is concerned, let's start with Gambia. Gambia is the big picture here. As far as the future of Gambia is concerned, it's perfect, because although we got denied permits twice in the past, it's quite encouraging to see the government finally issue a permit to APRC, which is the biggest, probably the single largest opposition party as it stands today, to protest in the street. We didn't get exactly everything we wanted, but we're grateful still. And I believe at the end of it all is the message that we send across that is more important than the area that we are allowed to march or the area that we're not allowed to march. So from our point of view, in the interest of Gambia going forward in terms of governance, it's a massive positive today. And from our point of view as a political party, we see this as a coup in terms of politics, not like overthrowing the government, but in terms of advancing our goal. We feel like we've achieved it today. Thank you.
Do you bear in mind, whilst your supporters are singing, dancing, parawetting, calling on Jammeh's return, but there are also hundreds of people outside there who are in hospitals, who bear the biggest brunt during Jammeh's rule. Do you people have time to reflect on those dark moments in the Gambia's history?
Of course, we reflect on those, and if you pay attention to most of our press conferences, our party leader, the interim party leader, Fabakary Tombong Jatta, always mentions it. He always says, we feel the anguish, the suffering, the pain of people who have come into some sort of bad moments under the APRC government. They were maimed by the APRC government or died under the APRC government, being killed by services under the APRC government. He always said those incidents are regrettable. And also one day, if we do find out that the APRC government was actually participating in a premeditated activities into people's lives and hurt people or kill people, we will say sorry one day. He said that so many times. But, Omar, you have to understand that, look, democracy or governance across the world, it's almost impossible to run a government and people not die in the hands of government, either in hospitals, either in the hands of the security services, or either, you know what they say in law, through your acts or omission, somebody's going to die, and that person's family will feel bitter about the government of the day. And that has happened during the colonial period. Well, it was worse. You can't compare colonialism to any government, modern government in this world. It happened under the colonialist, the imperialist. It happened under PPP. It happened under APRC. And as you saw, it happened under the Barrow government. So we do feel, with all, especially me, I do say, I will never defend the crimes of the government, especially if they were premeditated. But at the same time, you have to understand that if we go scientifically, statistics-wise, APRC government stands heads and shoulders above all the governments we had before us and the government we have today. And people have to agree that there is something to celebrate in relation to Jammeh's tenure. And we all agree with that.
Yes, people die and people will continue to die. But the way and manner people die under Jammeh, is that a justification now? That
No.
Okay.
No, the protest is not a gloat. We are not out there to gloat and say whoever died under Jammeh, it was their fault. No. Personally, I will never say that, and I'll never condone that. Our party leaders have never said that. But calling Jammeh to return, in a way, it's inconsistent to the laws that govern us today, Omar. So let's look at the legal basis of Jammeh's return. One, Jammeh is a Gambian citizen. Number two, Jammeh was a president. Before he became president, he served our country in uniform, which is one of the most honorable things you can do to your country. Okay? He became president. He transformed our country in every way you can think of today, including some of the things that people are complaining about, the crime rate and all whatnot. There are benefits to some of the stuff that he done security-wise. So the victims are unfortunate, and one day, like I said to you, even if we return to government, we want to look into these things, and if anyone was wronged and it was premeditated, was planned, we will try to reach out to these people and possibly compensate them. We can't bring back lives, which is unfortunate. This is why, before lives are taken, we've got to be careful before we execute people or assassinate people or do things. So the protest today is not to say Jammeh can come back and commit the same wrongs he's accused of committing. Jammeh can come back and restore what we had before, which was good. It's okay. Jammeh can come back and live as a Gambian citizen, and Jammeh can come back and enjoy the benefits of an ex-president as prescribed by our 1997 constitution. That's legal. And Jammeh left in acrimonious circumstances in January. On the 22nd of January, he flew out, I think. But on the 21st of January, Jammeh agreed with the stakeholders, ECOWAS heads of states or West African heads of states, the ECOWAS mission, the AU mission, approved by the UN, agreed on a joint declaration which was published on UN's own website, which is consistent with our constitution. It basically mirrors what our constitution says. Our constitution says our ex-presidents and serving presidents benefit from immunity. So those immunity, those provisions in our constitution are the same thing basically what the UN Joint Declaration mirrors or repeats. So why then are we making this argument? Why are we bitter when we still have our constitution, which was being defended last Sunday? The government went out to defend the same constitution. Why can't we just accept that as it stands? Morally, we agreed a deal for Jammeh to leave to allow Barrow to settle in office and he can come back. Legally, the constitution allows him to come back and enjoy his immunity. If we have to take issue with Jammeh, we need to amend the current constitution. But even if we amend it, the constitution is not going to go backwards. What we can do is amend and make the laws retrospective. But if we make the laws retrospective, we have to go back to 1970 when we first had our constitution. We cannot just pick and choose when we want the laws to go back to. And if we make it retrospective, it will start today, for instance, and it will go backwards, which means whatever Barrow government did in Kanilai, in Faraba, in Busumbala, in Madian, and all those places, those things will actually start putting Barrow in the dock as well. So we need to think carefully. Is that a moral basis? Yes, because we agreed to give peace a chance. Gambia could have been 1981 in January 2017, easily. People think Ekomog was just going to come in and walk into State House or walk into Jammeh's mansion in Kanilai. No, that would have been a fight. People like me couldn't have been talking to them. Maybe I would have died. My relatives might have died. It could have been 1981 all over. But Jammeh decided, you know what? I'm going to agree to this deal. I'm going to leave the country. So morally, we agreed something. We need to ensure we abide by our agreements. We need to observe them. Legally, that's that constitution. We need to go via that legal route. We need to stop being sentimental or emotional. So APRC going today is no disrespect to the victims. We're not saying anything to the victims. The odd person might say something, but none of our placards today, our posters, our banners said anything about the victims. We're just saying the constitution of the TRRC is wrong. The personnel in it shouldn't have been in it. But we're not saying the stuff that was said was all false.
Okay.
That's my take, Omar.
Right. When you talk to APRC, they will say we are sorry. Fabakary said, like you said, on numerous occasions, he apologized. But the man who is accused of ordering and on whose reign all these things happen seems to be unapologetic. He never said, please forgive me. Why that?
No, he didn't say, please forgive me. And he didn't sound...
Jammeh seemed to be unapologetic. He never, probably with all these audios coming out, not in single time, he even told in discussion, tell one of his APRC bigwigs that, tell Gambians to forgive me.
Well, this is where you come in now, Omar, the Fatu Network, or Gambian Media Network need to come in.
Right.
You need to interview Jammeh and tell him the subject of that interview is allegations against him when he was in office.
Well, let me help you here, because I wanted to interview Jammeh. There is somebody between me and Jammeh. But they say Jammeh is fine, but I need to get a visa to get Equatorial Guinea. That's the problem I'm having now.
Okay. So maybe you need to get the information from the horse's mouth. Jammeh's released audios, as we've said.
Right.
And he never mentioned TRRC. He never mentioned the Commission of Inquiry. He never mentioned many other issues that happened under him, or he's been accused of perpetrating. Now, in terms of interviewing Jammeh himself, you will know he's under protection now, international protection. If somebody's on asylum, you'll have to go through the protecting countries' laws to be able to get to him.
That's what they told me.
Yeah, if I can help you in that respect, I will be able to help you, but I will probably follow the same route as you by contacting the Equatorial Guinea Embassy in London, and then they'll contact their government in Equatorial Guinea, and then they'll provide clearance to be able to interview him. Unfortunately, until we hear from Jammeh himself, it'll be wrong for me to guess that he's being unapologetic, because we don't know. It'll be wrong for me to think he'll apologize, because we don't know. It'd be wrong for me to think in the first place that he's done what people accuse him of doing. Maybe he's done, but there's no doubting that these things have happened under his government.
Right.
He will not doubt that. He will not refute it. He said, yeah, it happened. Somebody died. The Hydra died in 2000 or whatever when I was president, so you can't doubt that. The doubt is whether he actually pre-planned it or ordered it or participated in it. That's where we are today, and until he talks, we will not know. We can guess that he's unapologetic, or we can guess that he's regretting it. We don't know. Yes. From our party point of view, we think some of these things happen and they should not happen the way they happen, and we want to correct it. One day, when we get an objective, impartial investigator into these matters, we will take action, and we will wait until we get to that point.
You want Jammeh to come back. Most of his loyalists want him to come back. Excuse me.
Of course. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
APRC, on, like you said, on several occasions, Fabakary said sorry. But with all that happened in this country, do you think forgiveness can substitute justice?
I mean, it depends. You know, justice will always pursue its own course if there's a complaint. If there is no complaint, the justice system will not be bothered. They will not look into something. So it always depends on the people who were wronged. If Jammeh can come back, and like Sana Sabali, and like Edward Singate, comes back and gives an account of what people think is clean, and he says sorry, and sorry doesn't normally mean you actually done it. Sorry means you recognize something wrong has happened that it shouldn't have happened. So you can say sorry on behalf of your government, or on behalf of yourself, or on behalf of other people, when you haven't even participated in those crimes. So if he comes back and he opens up and he says, look, I'll appeal directly to the victims, it's up to the victims to say to the state, look, we appreciate that he's recognized this and that, he said sorry. We want to sit down and negotiate with this. As long as there's recourse, there's compensation, there's this, we're happy to forgive him. It's up to people, but it depends on what happened, what Jammeh says, what he wants to tell us, and where he wants to go in terms of his future and Gambia's future. Forgiveness will come from the victims and the people who suffered. It cannot come from me, cannot come from you, unless you're one of the victims. We'll have to allow Jammeh himself to open up one day and say, look, all these things they've said about me, this is the truth, this is what happened. And if we can have documentary evidence of it, great, because with documents no one can argue. But then again, reconciliation, we've seen worse things happen in other parts of the world, and people came together. In fact, some governments have had the presidents or do some crazy things, and then they sat down, reconciled, and the government continued to operate. So Jammeh coming back is not even an argument. He's Gambian. He can fly in today. The difference is what APRC is trying to ensure is borrowed to put mechanisms in place, because Jammeh is an ex-president. You cannot say to him, oh, you fly in just now and go and sit down in your house in Kanilai. No, there has to be the environment created by the serving government to say, okay, look, the 1997 Constitution says there's an office of the ex-president. The Constitution gives him immunity. He's given Jawara the benefit of the doubt in terms of the 1997 Constitution. Jawara wasn't perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect in government. Somebody's going to die under your government, whether through your acts or your omissions. No doubt. Even the US, UK, in fact, the forces in the US kill about 1,450 people a year, most of them mistakenly. All right, so Gambia is going to be the same, UK is going to be the same, Saudi Arabia is going to be the same. What we want is a government that doesn't premeditate the assassination of opponents and things like that. That is where it goes wrong. But somebody will die in the course of police duties. Somebody will die in hospital because government didn't provide oxygen tanks or medication, or the ambulance broke down on the way to the hospital. All that is government fault. But it's not premeditated. The government didn't set out for things to go that way. So what we want to stop our governments doing, planning the elimination of people they don't like. So it will happen everywhere. It's up to us to sit down and think, okay, fine. Jammeh's done this, we can accept that it's happened. When you're in power up there, things do happen sometimes. And if Jammeh says, yeah, they happened accidentally or premeditated, but I'm sorry, I didn't know this was going to happen, it's up to the victims and Gambians to sit down and think, in the interest of the Gambia, let's reconcile. Whoever suffered can get compensated. We can't bring back life, which is sad, but we can move on as one unit. We cannot continue being divided and expect the country to develop. It will not happen. So Jammeh coming back, that's no argument. He's a Gambian citizen. He can come back. He cannot come back because he's an ex-president. When Jawara was coming, he didn't come back ordinarily. Jammeh created the environment, gave him his house, gave him security, gave him vehicles, paid him monthly allowance until he passed away, and I'm praying for the former President Jawara to continue to live in peace, to rest in peace. You know, so Gambians need to decide, look, this is what's in the interest of the country. Let's do it, and we move together as one unit. And in future, us Gambians should be fighting to stop taking orders from our governments or from our executive or from our ministers when they order us to go and do stupid stuff. You see it happening under Barrow now. People are doing stupid stuff and they blame Barrow for it when he leaves office. That's what we need to stop. So we need to change ourselves, and then our leaders will change. Once our leaders fear us, they will not do some of the stuff that we're accusing them of doing today.
What do you say to the government for granting permits to APRC to hold this? Because most of the people will say this will be impossible. Jammeh is antagonist of protests or processions.
Well, there's a two-edged knife here.
All right.
Yeah, two-edged sword. Let's look at the positive side of it now. APRC is a legally registered party, and since Barrow government came, APRC hasn't antagonized this government even once. We haven't tried to create trouble even once. We've had rallies before. We had road to Basse. Twice we've done national tours. This is our about 6th or 7th or 8th gathering in public, and we haven't created one bit of animosity. No trouble. We've been attacked on the way. We took measurable action to quell the attack. We didn't go any further. So for anybody to think 209,000 APRC supporters who are Gambians shouldn't have their right to protest, then obviously you're going against the beliefs of a democracy. You're going against the principles of a democracy. Under Jammeh, yes, permits were turned down, but last time 3 years Jotna met the current Interior Minister, he said when he was IGP under Jammeh, there was pressure on him not to issue permit, but he saw what was good for the country and he issued UDP a permit. Yeah? So permits were issued. Last time there was a standoff in Fasten Jagacho or other places. Eventually UDP were allowed to do their stuff. UDP were doing their tours. They were doing their activities. They were not dormant under Jammeh. There were protests. Yes, in 2016 when the executive got picked up, they got picked up, but before that people were being picked up for protest. And protest gone wrong. So that's the positive side of it. Democratically, it's good that APRC got given a permit. We're Gambians. Forget the title APRC. We're Gambians in the first place. We pay taxes, we work, we serve the people.
Finally, do you think Jammeh might end up being like former Ethiopian ruler Mengistu Haile Mariam, who was overthrown and he ended up in exile? Since then, he's in Zimbabwe, and he said even if he dies, he doesn't want his dead body to go back to Ethiopia.
Well, Jammeh wouldn't say that. Jammeh is a patriot, and you know that. Jammeh gave us sovereignty like no other person during his tenure. Do you think
the similar situation will happen? He will continue to live in exile for a decade or more without going back to his home country?
Live in exile for a decade? I don't know. Live in exile forever? I don't know. If the conditions are favorable for him to return, Jammeh will jump on it straight away. He's not going to live in exile because he wants to. He will live in exile because maybe the serving government doesn't want him to come back. Yeah, and there's no other way of him coming back. But I don't think there will be a serving government in the Gambia that will deliberately stop him coming back and want him to live in exile forever. It could happen, but today as it stands, whether people like it or not, the next government in the Gambia will be APRC or will have large elements of APRC, and I can tell you that now. We are the single largest opposition party which is still in one piece. Yes, we lost some of our members, but some of our members we lost are coming back, and in fact new people are joining us. If we were to go to the polls tomorrow as it stands with Barrow's NPP and UDP and GDC and APRC, who do you think is going to come out top?
Is that a question for me?
That's a question for you. Who do you think?
Well, I don't know the exit polls, so I will not be able to tell you who it is.
I can tell you confidently now.
Okay.
If we were to go to the polls tomorrow and Barrow is contesting on the NPP,
right,
and there's a UDP, and there's a GDC, and there's a DOE, there's APRC, and the first past the post remains, APRC will be walking into State House by end of day tomorrow. I can tell you that.
If you are not a king, you will be a kingmaker. Thank you so much, Lamin Tamba, for your time.
All right, thank you very much.
That's Lamin Tamba there. He is APRC UK branch public relation officer. And I have one more person before we end this program. He's also a concerned Gambian. He lives in the United Kingdom. Hello. Yeah, thank you so much, Ibu Wali, for your time. You had the conversation with MB Krubali and Lamin Tamba. Yes. What is your take on this?
Well, I would say I fully agree with Mr. Krubali. Let me first of all take this opportunity to thank all your listeners and viewers. This is a program that I closely follow, and I believe you do bring very credible people to have their say in the Gambia and the current situation in the Gambia. So what I would like to say, obviously, I found Mr. Krubali, who is actually a brother as well. I think he has been actually giving a very accurate description of how the current political situation is in the Gambia. The second thing that I would say as well, Lamin Tamba is a brother as well who lives with me in the UK here. Although I don't know him that much, but obviously I know a lot of people who have been close to him, and he's a very landed friend. Yeah. I think I'll agree with him on one area, because the process today involving the APRC, you need to understand, of course, they are citizens of the Gambia, but I think I have concerns with two things.
Right. What are those concerns?
The first thing that I would say, the first thing that I would, first of all, APRC as a political party has been haunted by the past, like the past, deeds that they have done, and then committed some of the extrajudicial killings and maiming, disappearance of people, and then currently we know that the TRC is ongoing. With the amount of victims that are actually waiting for justice, it's so huge, and the pain is still raw. So to have those groups being given the opportunity to protest, I think a lot of people will find it very uncomfortable and concerning.
So for you, it's inappropriate for APRC to protest or process, or go on procession?
I think the timing is wrong. If you ask me, and that's my personal opinion, a lot of people will actually disagree with that, especially people who are very close to APRC. But I'm not looking at the political context of what I'm saying here, but I'm looking at more so the humanitarian aspect of it. I think because the victims, most of them have not got any closure, and most of the people, many people are in the Gambia who don't know where their people or the remains of their people are at the moment. I think until that particular finding got to a conclusion, the APRC as a party needs to just seize and understand to allow, the healing to take place first. But I think the government, granting them the permit to come out has aggravated a lot of situations, and of course you could see the grievances in a lot of people. And I'm not surprised that the disgruntledness in the Gambia is just increasing on a daily basis.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wali, for your time.
You're welcome, Omar. Thank you so much for actually having this day. And I would just like to say a final statement in regards to the current situation for processes. I think the government needs to look into this themselves and the repercussions as well. We need good leadership in where it comes to that. I think the leadership right now is not very much focused on creating, functional institutions, but I believe that's what the Gambia needs to make sure that we don't slide back to, the areas of the past as well.
Thank you so much, Ibu Wali, for your time.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you very much, and then I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. That's Ibu Wali, a concerned Gambian living in the United Kingdom. Viewers, that's all we have for you today. From me, my team.